Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're taking a really surgical approach to English fluency.
We are. We're not getting bogged down in huge vocabulary lists or obscure grammar rules.
No, instead we're focusing on the absolute structural bedrock, the 100 most frequently used words in the entire English language.
And this isn't just, a random list. This is a result of a pretty extraordinary linguistic study from Oxford University.
Right.
They analyzed the usage of over 1 billion words.
1 billion. That's an incredible data set.
It really is. So this list of 100 words, it represents the highest density of communication possible. If you want a shortcut to maximizing your intelligibility, this is it. This is where you start.
So if you're a learner who, feels competent with the big words, the nouns and verbs, but your overall speaking still sounds a little stiff, maybe a bit non-native, then this deep dive is really your guide. Our mission today is to decode the specific characteristics of this list and, crucially, understand the unique pronunciation challenges they present.
And we're doing it through the lens of what the source material calls guided imitation.
Guided imitation. So what does that actually mean?
Well, it's the key learning strategy here. The central idea is that the most efficient, the absolute best way to sound more like a native speaker is to actively imitate or copy other native speakers.
So less theory, more practice.
Exactly. You're basically bypassing all the complex, often contradictory spelling rules in English, and you're going straight to muscle memory.
I could definitely see the power in that, in repetition and imitation. But let's address a practical point right up front.
Okay.
The pronunciation, detailed in the sources we looked at, is explicitly and exclusively British English.
Yes. And that is a vital piece of context. The specific sounds we're talking about, the vowel variations, the intonation, they are all mapped directly to a British dialect.
But doesn't that present a problem for a modern learner? I mean, American English tends to dominate global media, right? Movies, music.
That's a fantastic question. And the source material is actually very upfront about it.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, it acknowledges that American English pronunciation can be quite different, but it makes a point to clarify that it is, and I'm quoting here, just as beautiful.
Okay, so it's not saying one is better than the other.
Not at all. The value here isn't just in achieving a specific British accent. It's in understanding the system of how native speakers talk things, like weak forms, rapid speech, which is shared across all major dialects.
Ah, I see. So even if the target sound is different, the principle of how these little function words shift in conversation is the same.
Precisely. The guide gives you a precise map for, say, a London sound. But if you're aiming for a California accent, you still need to know how to or and get reduced when you speak quickly.
That makes perfect sense. Okay, so let's unpack this core challenge then. Why do these simple common words, the glue words like the or of, trip people up? So much more than, say, a big complex noun like philosophy.
It's because the complexity isn't in the spelling, it's hiding in the sound.
Specifically the vowel sounds.
Specifically, the vowel sounds. For a lot of learners, especially if their native language is phonetically consistent, English can feel like a complete minefield.
Give us a contrast. What does a consistent language look like?
Well, if you come from a language like Spanish, you're working with a very neat and tidy system. You typically have only 5 fundamental vowel sounds.
Just 5.
5. They're clear, they're distinct, and they almost always match the written letter. It's very straightforward.
That sounds like a dream.
Yeah.
So how does British English stack up?
Okay, so this is the core aha moment. In British English, we don't have 5. We have 12 distinct primary vowel sounds.
12. That's more than double.
It is. And on top of that, we also have a secondary category called diphthongs.
Okay, you're going to have to explain that one. What exactly is a diphthong?
Think of a diphthong as 2 sounds sort of holding hands within a single syllable.
Okay.
It's a sound you create by gliding smoothly from one vowel position to another, like the vowel sound in the word my or cow.
So it's not 2 separate sounds, it's one moving sound.
No, it's a single moving sound unit. And that right there is why imitation is so vital. You just can't figure those glides out from the spelling alone.
Right.
But here's the deepest nugget of knowledge for you. Out of those 12 vowel sounds, there's one sound that does most of the heavy lifting for these 100 words.
And that is the schwa.
The schwa. Okay, I've had that term before, but I'm not sure I could define it. Why is the schwa the secret weapon here?
The schwa, which phonetically looks like an upside-down E, is basically the lazy, central, unaccented vowel sound. It sounds a bit like, that's the one. It's the sound your mouth makes when it's completely relaxed. and it's the single most common sound in the entire language. Its job is to create what we call weak forms.
Weak forms. So that allows us to say these little words really quickly without stressing them.
You've got it. The rule is that in continuous speech, these function words lose their strong pronunciation and they shift to a weak form, where the main vowel is often just replaced by the schwa.
Can you give us an example from the list? Sure. Let's take the word for, which is number 12. The strong form, when you say it alone, is for, a long vowel.
Right. For.
But in a sentence like, this is for you, we almost never say the strong form. It collapses to the weak form, for, thanks to the schwa. If you don't master the schwa for words like of, to, from, and, you will always sound halting because you're using the slow, stressed, strong form every single time.
That is a huge distinction. So the function words are designed to be fast and soft.
Yeah.
Okay. So if the vowels are the hidden enemy, let's talk about homophones.
Yes. This is where it gets really interesting because you see how often completely different meanings are carried by identical sounds right within this top 100 list.
Words that sound the same but are spelled differently.
Exactly. The source specifically highlights a couple of pairs.
What's the first one?
We have there, as in location, and there, the possessive pronoun.
T-H-E-R-E and T-H-E-I-R.
Right. And the source confirms they are pronounced identically, which is why even native speakers get them mixed up in writing all the time.
It's the classic English frustration. The sound gives you zero clues about the spelling. What was the other pair?
The other pair was no, K-N-O-W, and no, N-O.
Oh, of course.
Again, pronounced exactly the same. That silent K in no is the perfect example of why you just can't rely on spelling to learn pronunciation. You have to imitate the sound.
So beyond identical sounds, the source also points out variable pronunciation in a single word, depending on its job in the sentence. And the word was use.
Yes, this is a beautiful example. A tiny phonetic detail carries massive grammatical weight, and it all hinges on the consonant sound at the end of the word.
Okay, so break that down for us.
When use is a verb, like I will use the tool, we make a voiced buzzing sound at the end, the Z sound.
Use Z. You can feel the vibration in your throat.
Exactly. The verb uses the vocal cords.
I like that. So what about the noun?
When use is a noun, like what is the use of this machine? We use the voiceless, sharper S sound.
Use of S. No vibration.
Your vocal cords are off. That tiny micro difference between Z and S is actually crucial for sounding natural.
That really is what separates a fluent speaker from someone just reading the words. Okay, so let's give a bit more context on the list. We know it ends with us. What's at the top?
Well, to ground everyone, the top 15 words they are overwhelmingly structural.
The glue.
The glue, you have the, be, to, of, and a.
Wait, A? The list actually says
It does, yes. And that's actually pointing to two different pronunciations of the same article.
So it's taking us right back to the schwa and weak forms.
Exactly. The article a is almost always pronounced in its weak form, which is the schwa sound. We say a cat, Kate.
So when would you ever use the strong form?
Almost never in a sentence. Really only when you're saying the letter in isolation or maybe for extreme emphasis. The weak form is king.
It seems like the main takeaway is that by practicing these 100 words, you're really practicing the high-frequency transitions that make speech flow.
That's it. Look at number 9 on the list, the word have. In isolation, it's have, strong.
Right.
But in a phrase like, I have gone, it reduces so much, it becomes V, or sometimes just V. Native speakers are constantly dropping the H and using the schwa.
And that's exactly the kind of thing that can make non-native speech sound heavy or slow. When a learner pronounces every single word in its full dictionary form.
The rhythm is just destroyed.
Yeah.
Mastering this list is about mastering the rhythm of English. It's knowing when to swallow a sound into the schwa and when to emphasize the strong form. That's what makes the important words, the nouns and verbs, actually stand out.
So let's bring this all together for someone trying to get fluent. We've talked about the power of this Oxford data, the necessity of imitation, and the absolute critical importance of those 12 vowel sounds, especially the schwa.
It means that practicing these 100 words gives you the biggest return on your investment, period.
More than any other 100 words.
By far. They're used so often that if you can pronounce the B to O and perfectly, using those weak forms, you instantly improve your intelligibility. You'll have a much more native-like rhythm. You stop sounding like you're reading and you start sounding like you're speaking.
That's a powerful promise of efficiency. And it raises one final, I think, provocative thought for you to take away from this deep dive. Given that Oxford proved these 100 words are the most used, just think about how much of the English language's structural meaning, the way we define relationships between things, is carried by words that are made up primarily of those 12 complex vowel sounds and the schwa.
Yeah.
It's not the big, easy-to-define nouns and verbs we usually focus on. The real complexity of communication, it seems, is hiding in the simplicity of those tiny function words.